Welcome back, everybody. I'm Michael Foley, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how to defend yourself from somebody who's choking you from behind. We'll go over two basic versions of this. The first one is if your back doesn't arch, so they're choking you from behind, but I can keep my posture relatively upright or even leaning slightly forward. The second is if he pulls on my neck and brings me back so that my back arches, which makes the first one impossible. For the first one, a couple of things you're gonna keep in mind. The second a choke goes around your neck, you're not gonna try to flip them right away, because as Chris is trying to finish this choke, I'm trying to set up this throw, I'm choking myself unconscious. Me leaning forward, bending over at the waist, squeeze my neck a little bit, I'm actually helping him choke me. So what I wanna do instead is I'm gonna make two hooks like this. One goes on his wrist, the other one goes right here in the socket by his elbow, and I don't wanna straighten out my hands when I do this. I want to keep my wrists curled, and then I bring my elbows back by my ribs. So Chris is a strong guy, but even if he's trying to pull here, it's going to be very difficult for him to finish that choke. So another thing is I don't want to carry my own weight. I want to force him to carry my weight. So I'm going to base out a little bit right here, and I'm going to drop heavy on his arms. And now from here, I bend over at the waist, lean forward, and just for practice sake, little twist around my hips, and that's how I get the throw. Another time, half speed. So he grabs me by the neck, hooks, bring my elbows back to my ribs, and then I change levels, I drop. From here, chins down, engage my stomach, and I push my hips back. That loads him onto my hips, and then I pull him around. Okay, and a little faster. That one is contingent on me being able to keep my posture and lower my level and sit my hip back as I pull forward. But if Chris grabs me from behind and breaks my posture down, it's almost impossible to do that move. So from here, what I'm gonna do instead, everything stays the same with the grip. So I make the hooks by the wrist, by the elbow, bringing this back to my ribs, but I'm gonna take a big step back with my outside leg. From here, I'm gonna take my elbow, my inside arm, the one that's grabbing his elbow, and I want to concentrate on pulling that between the two of our rib cages right here. Then I'm going to go under his wrist, push forward. So that's essentially an Americana Arm Lock. And then I step in with this foot as I crunch forward. And I end up in the same position. Half speed, he grabs me by the neck and pulls me back. I'm going to make my hooks and grab, elbows back to my ribs. I'm going to get low, but I'm gonna step back with my outside foot. I'm gonna pull my right elbow between the two of our ribs, and I'm gonna get underneath his wrist with my left hand. From here, I'm gonna push forward on his wrist, bow at the waist, and step in with my left foot, and get that arm lock. And a little faster. Let's take a closer look at the grip I'm using and the way I'm manipulating his arm. This is essentially an Americana shoulder lock. And if I put a ton of pressure right here on his arm, you're gonna dislocate his shoulder or he's gonna fall to the floor. I'm gonna mimic this movement right here, but I'm gonna do it with this grip right here and my shoulder. So when he grabs me by the neck, this hand's here by the elbow, this one's by the wrist. When I step back and I turn, you gotta concentrate on pulling his elbow down and pulling my own elbow in between the two of us. That's gonna lock his arm tight to my body, and then my shoulder leaning forward is gonna lean his shoulder back. The other element is I need to put leverage on his wrist. So instead of just hooking the wrist right here, I'm now gonna get underneath it. So I'm gonna push his wrist away from my body. So I'm gonna pull this elbow in tight, push my shoulder forward, and push his wrist away. So now I'm mimicking that shoulder lock position. I could probably get a tap from here, but what's gonna happen instead is he's holding onto that choke. I step behind his foot, that's my trip. I'm gonna bow at the waist and step in with my outside foot and finish the move. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I'm Michael Foley. I'll see you on the mats.